My fiancé texted me 30 minutes before the wedding. "I'm sorry, I can't marry you. I deserve more." I replied to the DJ, "Change of plans, play the playlist." Then I got on stage, read her message aloud, and turned the reception into a breakup party. 3 days later, she showed up crying, after finding out her backup plan was already engaged. I never thought I'd be the guy with the wedding disaster story. But life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. My name's Trevor. And 6 months ago, I was supposed to marry the woman I thought was the love of my life. Olivia and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 1. We'd met in graduate school, built our careers side by side, and moved in together after 2 years. The proposal happened at her family's lake house, with both our families watching from the deck. It was perfect. She cried, I cried, everyone cheered. Wedding planning wasn't easy, it never is. But we made it through with minimal drama. Olivia wanted a big wedding. I would have been happy with something smaller, but I wanted her to be happy. So we booked a fancy venue, invited 175 guests, and spent way more than we should have on flowers, food, and an open bar. Olivia had moved most of her things to her parents' house 2 weeks before the wedding, following her family's tradition. She'd left behind some clothes, personal items, and a few boxes of stuff we'd planned to bring to our new place after the honeymoon. She was supposed to be staying at her parents' until the wedding, though I later discovered this wasn't entirely true. The morning of the wedding, I woke up feeling great. My best man Chris and 3 other groomsmen were staying at an Airbnb near the venue. We had breakfast, got dressed in our tuxes, and headed to the venue for photos before the ceremony. Everything was on schedule. Then, 30 minutes before the ceremony was set to begin, as guests were being seated, and I was waiting in a side room with my groomsmen, my phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. "Trevor, I'm so sorry to do this, but I can't go through with the wedding. These past few weeks have made me realize I deserve more than what we have. Please don't try to find me or contact me. I've already left the venue. I hope someday you'll understand." I stared at my phone, reading and rereading the message, convinced it was some kind of prank. But Olivia wasn't the pranking type. Chris noticed something was wrong and asked what happened. I showed him the text and his face went from confusion to anger. Is she serious? What does she mean? Deserve more? I have no idea, I managed to say, still in shock. Call her maid of honor, see if Olivia's actually gone. He did. Lauren, the maid of honor, answered in tears. Confirmed Olivia had indeed fled the venue about 20 minutes earlier. Hadn't explained anything to anyone, just grabbed her purse and phone and left. Her wedding dress was still hanging in the bridal suite. The wedding planner knocked on our door, wondering if we were ready to start. I showed her the text. To her credit, she didn't freak out. Instead, she asked what I wanted to do. What did I want to do? My fiancé had just ditched me at the altar with a cold text message. My first instinct was to hide in that room forever. My second was to run after Olivia and demand an explanation. But neither of those options felt right. Then I had a thought. We've already paid for everything, right? The venue, the food, the alcohol? Yes, the planner confirmed. Everything's been paid in full. And all our friends and family are here? They are. I looked at Chris, then back at the planner. Then let's have a party. Chris raised his eyebrows. What kind of party? A my fiancé just dumped me party. Tell the DJ to switch to the party playlist we made for after dinner, and tell the bartenders to start pouring. The wedding planner hesitated. I should check with the venue manager about changing the nature of the event. There might be contract issues. Please do, I said. Tell them I'll sign whatever they need. We're still using the same space, time, and services, just for a different kind of celebration. She stepped out to make a call, returning a few minutes later with a relieved smile. The manager says it's fine. They've seen worse wedding day disasters, and as long as we're not violating any laws, they're happy to accommodate the change. Within minutes, the planner had informed the venue staff of the change in plans. Chris took it upon himself to tell my parents and siblings, who were understandably shocked but rallied around me. I texted my close friends who were already seated, letting them know what was happening. At my request, the DJ announced over the mic that there had been a change in programming and asked everyone to move from the ceremony space to the reception hall. Confused guests made their way inside, where the lights were dimmed The dance floor was lit up, and the bar was open. The DJ was playing upbeat music instead of the classical pieces we'd selected for the ceremony. Once everyone was inside, I took the mic. My heart was pounding, but I was surprisingly calm. I had a quick moment of hesitation about sharing Olivia's private message, but decided that after leaving me at the altar, any expectation of privacy about the breakup itself was forfeited. "Thank you all for coming today," I began. "As you've probably figured out, there's not going to be a wedding." Murmurs spread through the crowd. About half an hour ago, Olivia sent me this text. I held up my phone and read her message aloud. Gasps and whispers rippled through the room. I saw Olivia's parents looking stunned and mortified near the back. "Now, we have two options," I continued. "We can all go home sad and confused, or we can take advantage of this beautiful venue, delicious food, and open bar that's already paid for, and have ourselves a party. I vote for the party." There was a moment of silence, then Chris started clapping. My college roommate whooped from somewhere in the crowd. Gradually, the applause built. I saw my mom wiping away tears but smiling. Olivia's parents slipped out the back door. I couldn't blame them. "DJ, crank it up," I said, handing back the mic. The music got louder, and people actually started dancing. The catering staff, after a nod from the wedding planner, began serving the cocktail hour appetizers. The bartenders poured with a heavy hand. What followed was one of the strangest, most cathartic nights of my life. My friends and family surrounded me with support, alternating between letting me vent, making me laugh, and dragging me onto the dance floor. Even some of Olivia's friends, who'd chosen to stay, came up to express their shock and support. Not everyone embraced the impromptu celebration, of course. About a quarter of the guests, mostly older relatives and a few of Olivia's family friends, quietly left after offering condolences. I understood completely. A breakup party isn't everyone's idea of an appropriate response, but those who stayed seemed determined to make the best of an awful situation. The party lasted until midnight. We ate the wedding dinner, though the seating chart was abandoned. We drank all the alcohol. Someone convinced the DJ to play "I Will Survive," and the entire dance floor sang along at the top of their lungs. My dad, who never dances, did the electric slide. My teenage cousins taught my 80-year-old grandmother how to dab. Throughout the night, I kept checking my phone, half expecting Olivia to text again with an explanation. But there was nothing. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache in my own apartment. Chris had crashed on my couch to make sure I was okay. I had dozens of messages from wedding guests telling me how sorry they were, but also what a great time they'd had at the breakup party. I spent the day in a daze, fielding calls from concerned relatives and friends. I still hadn't heard from Olivia. Her social media accounts had gone quiet. None of our mutual friends knew where she was. By the second day, I'd moved from shock to anger. I boxed up all of Olivia's things from our apartment, which she'd moved out of 2 weeks before the wedding to stay with her parents, a traditional thing her family insisted on. I arranged with her sister to have them picked up. I canceled our honeymoon and got most of my money back. I drank too much whiskey and fell asleep watching mindless TV. On the third day after the non-wedding, my doorbell rang around 7 p.m. When I opened the door, there stood Olivia, her eyes red and puffy from crying, wearing the same kind of oversized sweater and leggings she always wore when she was upset. "Can I come in?" she asked in a small voice. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, but another part needed answers. So I stepped aside, letting her enter the apartment we'd shared for 2 years. She sat on the edge of the couch, perched like she might flee at any moment. I remained standing. "I'm sorry," she began, fresh tears welling up. "I handled everything so badly." "You think?" I replied, my voice surprisingly steady. "You left me at the altar with a text message, Olivia. A text message." I know it was awful." I panicked. "Why? What happened? What did you mean you deserve more?" She looked down at her hands. "It's complicated. I've got time." She took a deep breath. "Do you remember Eric from my office?" Eric, the new marketing director who'd started at Olivia's company about 6 months earlier. She'd mentioned him a few times, always professionally. "Vaguely," I said, a sinking feeling in my stomach. "We got close over the last few months. Just as friends at first, but there was a connection." She twisted her hands together. He understood me in ways I felt you never did. He was exciting and ambitious and you were having an affair, I finished flatly. Not physically. She protested quickly. Not until, well, the night before the wedding. The night she'd spent at her parents' house, or so I thought. So you cheated on me, then dumped me half an hour before our wedding because, what, Eric was your exciting backup plan? She flinched at my tone, but didn't deny it. He told me he had feelings for me, said I was settling by marrying you, that I deserved someone who could match my ambition, my energy. And you believed him. I was confused, scared about the commitment of marriage. He seemed like an escape from all the pressure. So what are you doing here now? Shouldn't you be riding off into the sunset with Eric? Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. He's engaged, has been for a year. His fiancée works overseas, but she's moving back next month for their wedding. He never mentioned her, not once. I couldn't help it. I laughed, a short, bitter laugh that made Olivia wince. So he was just looking for a fling before his own wedding, and you fell for it? I made a terrible mistake, she whispered. I threw away everything we built together because I got caught up in some fantasy. When I saw the videos of the reception. Videos? They're all over social media. Everyone shared clips of your speech, the party. Everyone's talking about it. She pulled out her phone, showing me a TikTok someone had posted of me making my announcement, followed by the dance party that erupted later. It had over 100,000 views. Great, I muttered. I'm viral. You looked so strong, so in control. Meanwhile, I was hiding in a hotel room, waiting for Eric, who never showed up. When I finally reached him yesterday, he told me the truth about his fiancée, said he was sorry for the misunderstanding, but thought I knew it was just casual. I felt a strange mix of emotions. Vindication that Olivia had gotten her comeuppance, sadness for the relationship I'd lost, and an odd sense of pride that I'd handled the catastrophe with some dignity. What do you want from me, Olivia? I asked. Forgiveness? A second chance? I don't know, she admitted. Maybe both? I know I don't deserve either. But I still love you, Trevor. I made a horrible mistake, but our 4 years together had to mean something. I considered her words carefully. Part of me still loved her too. You don't just switch off 4 years of feelings. But the trust was shattered. The image of her was forever altered. You're right about one thing, I said finally. You don't deserve either. You didn't just make a mistake. You made a series of deliberate choices that culminated in humiliating me on what should have been the happiest day of our lives. And for what? For someone who was using you just like you used me. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is getting a breakup text 30 minutes before I was supposed to say I do. What's not fair is finding out the person you trusted most was living a double life. What's not fair is you showing up here only after your plan B fell through. She was crying openly now, not bothering to wipe away the tears. So that's it? We're done forever because of one mistake? This wasn't one mistake, Olivia. It was a betrayal of everything we were supposed to stand for. And I deserve more than that. I threw her own words back at her deliberately, watching them hit their mark. Please, Trevor, just give me a chance to make it up to you. I shook my head. I want you to leave. I've already packed your things. Your sister was supposed to pick them up tomorrow. Take them now instead. She looked around, noticing for the first time the stack of boxes by the door. You were already getting rid of me. You got rid of yourself. She stood slowly, her shoulders slumped in defeat. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. And watching those videos, seeing how you turned a nightmare into something positive, it just reminded me of all the reasons I fell in love with you in the first place. Too little too late, I said, though without malice. I was just stating a fact. I helped her carry the boxes to her car in silence. As she got into the driver's seat, she looked up at me one last time. The breakup party looked fun, she said with a sad smile. I wish I'd been there. No, I replied, you don't. Because everyone there knew exactly who you were and what you'd done. At least this way, you got to keep some dignity. I closed her car door and walked back inside without watching her drive away. It's been 6 months since then. The breakup party video did indeed go viral, landing me brief internet fame and even a few spots on morning talk shows. I've gotten hundreds of messages from strangers who experienced similar betrayals, thanking me for showing them a different way to respond to heartbreak. Olivia and I haven't spoken since that night. I heard through mutual friends that she quit her job and moved to another state for a fresh start. Eric got married as planned, though rumors spread through her old office about his behavior. As for me, I'm doing okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. Some days I still miss the Olivia I thought I knew. Other days I'm grateful for the bullet dodged. The viral fame was weird but faded quickly, for which I'm thankful. If there's a lesson in all this, maybe it's that when life hands you an unexpected catastrophe, sometimes the best response is to crank up the music and dance anyway. It won't fix everything, but it beats the hell out of hiding in a room feeling sorry for yourself. And if your fiancé texts to dump you right before your wedding, well, at least make sure you get your money's worth from the venue.